The Millionaire, the Homeless Black Man, and the Elon Musk and Donald Trump connection. Ethan Walker stood outside the sleek glass doors of Chicago's most elite restaurant, dressed sharp in a tailored suit, shiny cufflinks catching the city lights. Tonight was supposed to be a victory lap, a celebration of everything he'd built. Billions in tech, endless headlines, and a lifestyle most only dream of. His heart hammered with a mix of pride and something else. That tight knot in his chest wouldn't loosen. The success, the spotlight, it all felt heavy, like a mask too tight to breathe in. Then, just a few steps from the entrance, where the velvet ropes parted the world of the rich and famous, Ethan noticed her. A black woman, her face weathered and worn, wrapped in layers frayed by Chicago's biting cold. She stood still, clutching something close to her chest. A necklace, glowing faintly, pulsing like a tiny heartbeat. The light was strange, unnatural, almost alive. Ethan's people in sleek dresses and sharp suits passed by, too busy laughing or scrolling their phones to notice the flicker of magic at the curb. But Ethan couldn't turn away. There was something in her eyes, fierce, mysterious, almost electric. A presence that dug into his soul. When their eyes locked, memories crashed against him. Faces, voices, long-buried family stories whispered in the dark. Stories he'd pushed away, afraid to know too much. His ancestors' mistakes. Secrets laced with pain and power. The necklace. They said it could show the future. Not just guess it, but see it. Raw, real, untamed. Ethan felt the weight of it immediately. Just holding it meant choices, dangerous ones. Before he could decide, a chill ran down his spine. From the shadows, a tall, ruthless figure watched him. A rival mogul known for crushing anyone who crossed his path. His eyes were sharp, cold, hungry. He wanted that necklace, wanted what it could do, and he wouldn't stop for anything. Ethan's fingers twitched. His planned night of luxury shattered into tense silence. The woman guarded the glowing secret. But what price would he pay to protect her? To protect what lurked in the glass light around her neck? Could he face the dark corners of his ambition, the past creeping closer with every heartbeat? People whispered nearby, "Isn't that Ethan Walker? What's he doing talking to that?" But no one stepped forward. Ethan's jaw clenched. He looked at the necklace again, then back at the woman, who seemed more than just lost on these cold streets. The night held a heavy breath. A choice pressed on him like iron. Would he risk everything for this enigma? Could the woman save him? Or bury him deeper in secrets he wasn't ready to face? The muggy Chicago air was thick with tension. The future waited, glowing quietly but loudly enough that Ethan couldn't ignore it any longer. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Ethan's heart raced, pounding against his ribcage as he stood at the edge of an abyss. The crowd was a blur, each shallow laugh and casual glance fading into hushed whispers of expectations. He had made a choice without even meaning to. Something about the woman, something in her eyes. He couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't just a stranger, but a key to everything he had run from. The world around him seemed to dim. The light from the neck. He took a step closer, feeling the heat of danger creep along his skin. The rival mogul's gaze felt like ice on his back, predatory and relentless. The homeless woman looked straight into his soul, as if she could see all the shadows he had buried deep. She smiled faintly, but it was laced with sorrow. Then, suddenly, a loud crash split the air. A black SUV barreled down the street, careening onto the sidewalk, sending people scattering like startled pigeons. Screams erupted, the sharp screech of metal against pavement, chaos unfolding around them in seconds. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He lunged forward, grabbing the woman's arm, pulling her away from the car's trajectory. They stumbled back into the frigid night, breaths quick and shallow. The SUV slammed to a stop, just a foot away, driver's side door flung open. A figure emerged, the sight sending shockwaves through the crowd. It was none other than Ethan's brother Marcus, a face he hadn't seen in years. Not since their split over a business deal gone wrong. Marcus looked frantic, eyes wide, breathless. He locked eyes with Ethan, panic etched on his face. "Ethan!" he shouted, scrambling toward them. "You need to listen to me! It's not safe!" "Not safe?" Ethan's voice was incredulous, a sharp edge of confusion cutting through the chaos. "You're the last person I want to see right now!" From behind him, the figure of the rival mogul stepped closer, a sneer rooted deep in his cold grin. "You should have stayed hidden, Ethan. This is bigger than you think." But before he could finish, the woman ripped an object from around her neck, the necklace glowing even brighter. The light exploded outwards, blinding everyone. Ethan shielded his eyes, the world twisting into a kaleidoscope of colors. When the light faded, Ethan opened his eyes cautiously. Everything had shifted. The crowd was gone. The restaurant, the city sound, all vanished. They stood in a realm of shadows and bright whispers, shapes swirling around them. Time felt suspended, heavy with the weight of unspoken truths. The woman stood before him. Her expression transformed. She was no longer just guarded, but fierce, a warrior on the edge of revelation. "Ethan," she said, her voice cutting through the stillness, "this isn't just about you. This is about everything you never knew." "What are you talking about?" Ethan clenched his fists, confusion mixing with rising dread. "Your brother is here for a reason," she said, glancing at Marcus, whose eyes were wide with fear. "He's not who you think he is. And this necklace, it chose you for a purpose. But the truth is more dangerous than you can imagine." Ethan's world tilted. Questions swirled in his mind like a tempest. What had he kept buried? What was Marcus hiding? The air felt electric with anticipation, filled with the throbbing pulse of possibility. Cracks had formed in the facade of his carefully constructed life. The pieces on the board had shifted dramatically, and he felt the ground beneath him start to crumble. "Ethan!" The woman's voice broke through again, pulling him back from the edge of despair. Choose wisely. This is only the beginning. And just like that, everything Ethan thought he understood slipped away, leaving him teetering on the brink of a chaotic new reality. The future waited, glowing quietly, but loudly enough that Ethan couldn't ignore it any longer. He stepped closer to the woman, heart racing. The crowd buzzed around him, the world spinning in blur. He felt the weight of decision pulse between them, alive with possibility. "What's your name?" he finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Kali," she replied, her gaze unwavering. "And you already know who you are?" Her voice caught him off guard. It was low and calm, yet powerful, like thunder rumbling under a clear sky. He nodded slowly, lost in her eyes. But then, without warning, the peaceful moment shattered. A deafening crack filled the air. Then chaos. Glass shattered. Screams erupted. Ethan spun around. A gunshot? His body froze, adrenaline kicking in. The tall mogul loomed closer, a wicked smile on his lips, a gun glinting in his hand. The crowd gasped and scattered, people ducking behind cars, their faces pale with terror. "Ethan!" Kali cried out, eyes wide. She clutched the necklace tighter, and it brightened, its glow pulsing like a heart racing with fear. Ethan surged forward instinctively, placing himself between Kali and the crazed figure. He felt a fire igniting in his chest. "Get down!" he shouted. But Kali stood her ground. In that moment, she lifted the necklace between them. A flash of light swirled around them, intensifying as the gunman raised his weapon again. Desperation clawed at Ethan's insides. He was ready to protect this woman, but what power did she hold? In a blinding pulse, the world around him shifted. The air quaked, and for just a heartbeat, everything went silent. Then time folded in on itself. Ethan blinked. They were standing on a vibrant street, but it wasn't Chicago. Colors erupted everywhere, deep greens and blues glowing with life. He felt the warmth of sunshine, the distant sound of laughter, and the smell of street food. He turned, bewildered, and saw Kali transform before his eyes. Her frayed layers vanished, replaced by flowing fabric that sparkled like starlight. The necklace radiated intensely now, illuminating the alley with brightness that made the shadows retreat. She looked regal, powerful, someone who belonged to this place. "What? What just happened?" Ethan stammered, confusion tightening around him like a vice. "This is where I come from," Kali replied, strength flowing through her words. She stepped closer, the magical glow helping him to see her clearly. "But it's always been a part of you, too, if you choose to accept it." "Accept what?" Ethan's heart raced, the implications tangled with his thoughts. "What do you mean?" Pieces of the past fluttered back. Family whispers, stories of secret powers hidden away, tales of fears that were never his to own. The weight of it all hit him like a tidal wave. "What's the connection?" he asked, his voice trembling. Suddenly, a familiar face emerged from the vibrant chaos. Ethan's father, long abandoned from memory, stood before him, youthful and strong. His heart dropped. This wasn't right. He thought he'd lost his father years ago, buried in regrets and silence. "Son," the man said, voice warm yet haunted. You have to choose, but remember, power comes with a cost. Time felt thin, stretching and bending like it was never meant to. Ethan stared at Callie, then back at the father he thought was gone. Torn between worlds, torn between connections that felt ancient, yet new. What cost would he pay to understand his past? The air around them thickened with uncertainty. Ethan, Callie's voice echoed like a bell. You can't run from this. Not now. The vibrant world shimmered and began to fade. Panic squeezed him tighter. The easy choice was back at the restaurant. Life of luxury, untouched, free of these burdens. But something deeper whispered within. The truth that could shatter everything. As the light waned, a thought struck him. Not just about power, but the truths hidden in his blood. Would he grasp this unexpected legacy, face the depths of darkness, and understand what really lay ahead? The questions hung thick in the air, and the street blurred. Shadows loomed, decisions rushed forth, and Ethan knew everything was about to change. Ethan stood at the crossroads of revelation and chaos. Callie's vibrant transformation stunned him. The marketplace of colors and laughter faded, but he was rooted in the understanding of his past, teetering on the edge of destiny. He felt an awakening, but in the air, a heavy tension brewed. He glanced at Callie, searching for clarity. "What do I need to do?" he asked, desperation creeping in. Before she could respond, a darkness swept across their bright realm, smothering the light. "Ethan!" Marcus's voice broke through, but his tone was different, urgent, frantic, a tremor rippling through his words. "You have to listen." "It can't be," Ethan began, but the ground below them shook violently. Suddenly, a deafening roar echoed like thunder crashing from above. The vibrant colors twisted and blurred into shades of gray. Time snapped back like a rubber band. Ethan blinked, and they were no longer in that bright marketplace. Instead, they stood in an empty room, cold and sterile. The light flickered awkwardly above them. Callie looked different, less regal, more haunted. "What happened?" Ethan whispered, feeling a chill crawl up his spine. Callie's face held an edge of fear. We weren't supposed to be here. Something's wrong, Ethan." Around them, shadows danced, whispering secrets he couldn't grasp. Marcus stepped forward, his face a mask of determination. "We're running out of time. This place." Before he could finish, the door swung open with a crash. A figure appeared, draped in shadows, face obscured. Just catching a glimpse was enough to chill Ethan to the bone. "Ethan Walker," the figure said, with a voice smooth as silk, yet sharp as a blade. It resonated with a familiar ache. "You've chosen a dangerous path. Betrayal runs deeper than you know." "Who are you?" Ethan's words felt raw, thick in his throat, clawing their way out. The figures stepped into the half-light, and recognition hit with staggering force. Heart racing, Ethan took a half-step back. It was his mother. The woman he thought had vanished long ago. Her eyes, once warm and comforting, now glittered with something dark and unforgiving. "No, it can't be," he stammered, disbelief crashing against reality. "Surprise, Ethan," she said, her smile twisting into something menacing. "You think you've escaped your past? but it has always watched, always waited. Callie backed away. This isn't right. Your past isn't just yours, Ethan. Ethan felt the world teetering on the brink of insanity. You let me think you were dead. He couldn't breathe. Why? Because, darling, I had to prepare you. You have powers you don't understand, and I needed you to lose everything to truly find it. Her words sliced through the air. A sense of betrayal wrapped around Ethan like a noose. No, he shook his head, fighting against the truth that clawed at him. No, I won't accept this. I can't. Ethan, Marcus interrupted, voice strained. We need to leave now. We're all in danger. But the shadows tightened and swarmed, carrying whispers of deceit and dark ambitions. Ethan's head spun with contradictions. Worst of all, he felt that tether to Callie waver. Wasn't just about danger. It threatened relationships he treasured. Callie's eyes widened. Ethan, you have to choose. The truth will destroy you unless you claim it. Before he could respond, the shadows coalesced, tearing at his sense of stability. He reached for Callie, but she stepped back, heart pounding, straining under the weight of revelation. Don't lose yourself, Ethan. Her voice sounded like a fragile thread unraveling. Time twisted once more, and Ethan felt that familiar ache in his chest returning. His world shimmered, fragmented, threatening to plunge him into an abyss of confusion and betrayal. In that moment, everything flickered out. He was left standing alone in darkness, heart racing with a mix of fear and rage. What was the truth? What power was hidden in this family legacy? Everything he thought he knew was suddenly shrouded in doubt. And when the light returned, it brought a haunting choice he had to face. Who was he really? As the weight of everything pressed down, he realized the real danger was just beginning. Ethan's heart raced, the air thick with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. He stared at the necklace, its light pulsing softly like a warning, while the homeless woman's eyes pierced deeper into him. For a moment, the bustling world of the restaurant vanished. It was just them. The cold air fizzed with tension. The rival mogul shifted, his cold gaze unblinking, prowling the scene like a predator sensing prey. Ethan could feel the threat hanging in the air, but his attention was fixed on the woman. "What do you know?" he asked, the words slipping out before thought could catch them. Her lips parted slightly, but a hoarse cry shattered the night. A gunshot rang out, echoing through the streets like a thunderclap. People screamed, instinctively diving for cover or clutching their phones. Ethan's instinct to protect surged. He lunged toward the woman. She dropped the necklace, the light flickering wildly, casting erratic shadows as it hit the ground. Everything around seemed to blur. The world rushed backward as Ethan dove. But then, the air turned electric. A blinding flash erupted, enveloping the street. When the light faded, Ethan blinked in shock. Where the woman had stood, there was nothing but a swirling mist. A collective gasp echoed around him. The necklace lay on the ground, but shadows danced and weaved around it, inching closer to where she had vanished. "No! Wait!" Ethan shouted, desperate. Shadows flickered brighter, deepening the mystery. His heart raced, panic clawing at him. How could this happen? The mogul stepped forward, a wicked smile creeping across his face. Well, well, what a surprise. You just uncovered a legend. That woman, she's a guardian, Ethan, and you just failed your test. What test? What are you talking about? Ethan shouted, confusion overwhelming him. The necklace pulsed, demanding attention, but he didn't dare reach for it, every instinct urging caution. The crowd murmured, some curious, others horrified, whispers cascaded. ... Did you see that? Who was she? What did he do? The rich and famous seemed mesmerized, but also afraid. An ancient power sits in that necklace, the mogul continued, his voice low, sinister. It shows the future, but possessing it doesn't come without a price. He leaned closer, his eyes glistening with a savage glee. You took a risk, Ethan. What are you willing to sacrifice? Suddenly, a scream pierced the air, and Ethan turned to find a young man collapsing on the pavement a few feet away, his hands clutched at his chest, eyes wide with terror. It hurts. It hurts, he gasped, squirming as if something unseen tormented him. Ethan's breath hitched. It was like the night had turned against them all. The laughter of the elite sharpened, a cruel reminder of the distance between them and the suffering unfolding before their eyes. "Call an ambulance!" someone shouted, but the urgency of the moment faded amidst the growing darkness. Ethan's skin prickled, realization dawning, heavy and cold. Was this the cost? He whispered, eyes darting back to the necklace. The shadows coiled tighter around it, nearly drawing him in. Somber thoughts raced, certainty shattering. Could this all be connected? The woman, the necklace, the sudden violence. The crowd drew back, fear swirling. "Get out of the way," a voice yelled, but Ethan couldn't move. All he could do was stare at the scene unraveling around him. The weight of choice bore down, and in its grasp, he felt his breath falter. What awaited him if he picked up the necklace? Would he end up sacrificing his own future? Maybe the lives of others, too? The answer loomed, terrifying and real. Shadows danced, the future hiding within their grasp, leaving him at the precipice of the unknown. What was hidden behind those glowing threads? Ethan stood frozen, heart racing, as the world around him buzzed and swirled. The woman's gaze bore into him, a mixture of fear and defiance. The necklace glowed, drawing him closer, promising clarity amid chaos. He glanced at the rival mogul lurking in the shadows. The threat in those cold eyes sent chills racing down his spine. Then it happened. A violent crash shattered the night. Glass shattered, screams erupted, drowning the laughter and chatter that had filled the air moments before. Panic rippled through the crowd, a wave of chaos as people surged toward the exit, their fear palpable. A shadowy figure, masked and moving swiftly, darted from behind a parked car, brandishing a gun. Ethan moved instinctively, stepping in front of the woman. "Stay back!" he yelled, adrenaline pumping. The world shrunk to just him and her. But then the impossible happened. The glow from the necklace intensified, blindingly bright, illuminating the dark street. The masked figure faltered, confusion flickering across his face. "What the?" The woman's grip tightened on the necklace, and suddenly, with a flick of her wrist, A pulse of energy surged through the air. Ethan felt it ripple inside him, as if every doubt, every fear was laid bare. The chaos faded, replaced by a surreal stillness that swallowed the sounds of the city whole. In that moment, the woman whispered, "They're coming for him, and for you." Ethan's breath stopped. "What do you mean?" he asked, confusion swirling with his panic. A quick glance confirmed the rival mogul was still watching. But now there were others. Shadows seemed to emerge from every corner, figures closing in with purpose. "Everything you've built," she continued, her voice low yet filled with strength, "wasn't just luck or skill. It's tied to this." She leaned closer, eyes fierce. "The necklace isn't just a trinket, it's a key!" Before Ethan could react, the group advanced, intense and focused. The woman's face changed. Fear flickered away, replaced by something sharper. She wasn't just defending herself, she was ready to fight. "Run!" she shouted at Ethan, urgency painting her expression. "You don't understand. They'll destroy everything. Everyone." The command pulled Ethan from shock. He turned, instinct driving him. He could feel her presence behind him like a magnet pulling him back. But he had to decide. His dreams were built on ambition, power, but were they worth losing everything? Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the air. A shot fired. A man in a suit staggered backward, wide eyes filling with shock before he collapsed. A gasp rose from the crowd. Silence followed, thick and suffocating. Ethan's world spiraled again. He stumbled back, dizziness threatening to pull him under. "No, no, no!" The woman's voice filled his ears again. "You need to choose, Ethan. A life for a life. Your fate is written here and now." Whispers spread like wildfire among the onlookers. Faces blanched, eyes wide with shock. Who's she? What's happening? Ethan felt reality slip away. His ambitions, the spotlight, the success, they were all up for grabs. Who was the woman really? What was the true cost of the necklace? The crowd pulsed with energy. The night charged with uncertainty. He had to decide. Would he save himself? Could he turn his back on the past and take a leap into the unknown? The future glowed dimly in the chaos, but it called to him, demanding a choice. As he stood there, torn between worlds, the darkness closed in faster. What awaited him on this path? The truth loomed dangerously close. Ethan felt the weight of the moment hang thick in the air. The shimmering necklace pulsed softly, drawing him closer to the unknown. The icy wind bit at his cheeks, but all he could see was the woman's fierce gaze and that glowing charm. He swallowed hard. Was this it? The choice that could change everything? Before he could take a step forward, a commotion erupted behind him. Shouts pierced the night, snapping his focus away. A crowd surged, startled gasps rippling through the crowd, eyes darting. Ethan spun around, muscles tensing. The rival mogul. He emerged from the shadows, his face twisted in a predator's grin, sharp and menacing. And in his hands, a gun. "What do you want, Grant?" Ethan shouted, voice shaky but loud enough to cut through the chaos. Grant's eyes gleamed with menace. "That necklace, Ethan. Hand it over, or things are going to get messy." His laughter cut like glass. The moment stretched, pulling at the seams of Ethan's composed world. each heartbeat thumping louder than the last. But then the unexpected shifted everything. The black woman, beautiful yet torn, took a steady breath. "You are so blind," she said, her voice deep and resonant. It echoed like an ancient secret, spilling into the tension. Ethan frowned, confusion tightening around his chest. "What are you talking about?" "The necklace! It's not just a trinket. It's part of something much deeper. And if you really want it, you need to understand." She paused, her eyes narrowing. "Every choice you make will unravel the fabric of your life." Grant laughed again, cocking his head. "You think you can make him understand? Give it to him, Ethan. Or are you too scared to face the truth?" Fear blasted through Ethan. The weight of his success, the relentless pressure of his life, all felt like bricks on his chest. Could he really risk it all? But the woman raised a hand. "No, Ethan, you have to trust me." And then the world shifted. The necklace flared violently, blinding them both. Everything blurred into a swirling light, colors bleeding into each other. The sounds of the city melted away, replaced by whispers, cries from another time. Ethan felt himself being pulled, yanked between moments and memories. When the light faded, everything was different. They stood in an alleyway, familiar yet foreign. The air crackled with an electric charge. Faces flickered in the shadows. People he recognized, but from a lifetime ago. His heart raced. What? Where are we? With horror, he saw the woman's expression shift. She wasn't just a stranger. She was familiar, woven into the surface of his past. "I am your grandmother," she said, every word striking him like a thunderclap. Impossible! How could she be? She looked so young. The crowd, now quiet, had morphed into a lingering mist. The streets swelled with lost faces, memories he'd buried deep. He felt breathless, grounded in a past he thought he could escape. And Grant? He was gone. What had just happened? Was this a glimpse into another life? Ethan's mind raced. The stakes? They had just skyrocketed beyond anything he could comprehend. Choices loomed like dark clouds on the horizon. Could he turn back? His throat tightened. What does this mean? Her emerald eyes glimmered with secrets. Ethan, you have to face your legacy, or the darkness will consume you. A chill ran down his spine. The night had transformed. Nothing was what it seemed anymore. What lay ahead? Could he embrace the truth, or would fear keep him chained to his past? The necklace pulsed again. Questions flooded in, fast like the wind. The future shimmered just out of reach. Ethan stood there, a whirlwind of emotions swirling inside him. He stared at his grandmother, grappling with the revelation. Thoughts clashed and collided like thunder. This was unreal, yet the necklace pulsed, demanding attention. Pulsing with power and secrets like an unsteady heartbeat. "Why didn't you come back?" he asked, his voice an urgent whisper. The shadows of the alley flickered, threatening to swallow him whole. His heart raced. Every word felt like a new thread woven into this complicated tapestry. "I couldn't," she replied firmly, her eyes fierce and alive. "I was protecting you. There are forces at play, Ethan. Dark forces. You were meant to awaken, but not yet. Not until you are ready. Ready for what? His chest tightened with confusion. The world felt heavy, pressing down on him. He looked around. Where was Callie? Where was Marcus? Suddenly everything changed. A booming sound echoed behind them, drowning out his thoughts. A heavy crash rattled the very ground beneath their feet. Ethan turned sharply, heart pounding in his throat, eyes widening as dust swirled and dark shapes emerged from the shadows. A gang of masked figures poured into the alley, moving like shadows come to life. They fanned out, their eyes glimmering with intent. One stepped forward, their voice like ice. "You've meddled with things you don't understand, Ethan Walker." His stomach dropped. They knew him. But how? "Leave him alone!" his grandmother shouted, stepping protectively in front of him. But the masked figures were unyielding. Then something wild happened. One of the masked figures reached into his coat, pulling out a small, metallic device that whirred ominously. Ethan felt his heart seize. "What is that?" "Your true legacy," the figure said, a wicked grin slicing through the mask. "This device links to the necklace. You have no idea what it can unleash." "No!" Ethan shouted, jumping forward. But it was too late. The masked figure pressed a button, and the air around them shimmered, warping reality itself. A wave of energy surged through the alley, and everything shifted. Colors bled, shapes twisted, and screams of horror echoed in the distance. Ethan stumbled back, hand reaching for his grandmother, but she was gone. He stood alone, gasping, surrounded by swirling chaos. The necklace pulsed furiously now, blindingly bright, illuminating the darkness. It revealed images, his life flashing before his eyes, moments lost and buried, family dinners, laughter, secrets whispered in the night. Every choice he'd made danced before him. And then there was the dark part, the betrayal. Suddenly he saw it, a figure standing amidst the chaos, masked but familiar. His mind raced. Could it be? Could it really be? The mask fell away, revealing Marcus's face. "Ethan!" Marcus shouted, desperation tangling his expression. "You have to trust me. They're coming for you." Everything snapped into place. Ethan's heart raced, realization flooding over him. You knew about all of this." Marcus shook his head, his voice cracking. "They forced me. I had to protect you. I wanted to stop them." But Ethan felt the ground beneath him shift. The reality of betrayal threatened to swallow him whole. "Protect me? You set me up. You were in on it the whole time." "No!" Marcus shouted, and it felt like the world split open. "I'm trying to save you." The shadows pressed closer, chaotic energy rising like smoke. Everything was spiraling, the thrill of confusion rising. Ethan's world began to shatter around him. Was Marcus an enemy? Or was he really trying to protect him? The darkness closed in tighter, suffocating. Ethan felt his body tense, heart racing furiously, muscles coiling, as the truth about his family and his past hung in the air like storm clouds about to burst. The pulse of the necklace throbbed louder, charged with shocking intensity. What was he willing to sacrifice to uncover the truth? Would he finally face the darkness lurking in his family's shadows? Before he could answer, The device crackled violently, and the shadows erupted with screams. Everything began to blur again, the chaos spiraling out of control, leaving Ethan standing on the precipice of his own destiny. Was he about to unleash a greater evil into the world? Uncertainty clawed at him fiercely. The last light faded, leaving him to grasp at a now altering reality. Ethan stood amidst chaos, breath hitching, as shadows danced around him. The necklace pulsed with relentless energy, its glow slicing through the darkness. Confusion churned in his gut. He felt the weight of betrayal and unearthly burdens pushing down on him like lead. Behind him, Marcus's frantic eyes pleaded for trust. But how could he believe anything now? The masked figures closed in, their movements deliberate, sinister. Ethan felt sweat trickle down his back. "What do you want from me?" he shouted, uncertainty mixed with mounting dread. "Everything," one figure hissed, and with a flick of their wrist, the metallic device whirred louder. Ethan's heart raced, terror clawing at his throat. "Marcus, what's happening?" He cried out, hope dwindling as he searched his brother's face for answers. But before Marcus could respond, a blast of blinding light erupted from the device, illuminating the alley brighter than midday. It was searing, constricting his chest. He shielded his eyes. The overwhelming brightness washed over him like a tide. The world warped, screaming, and panic faded. And then, silence. Ethan blinked, disoriented. They stood not in the alley, but on a vast, desolate field, stretching endlessly in each direction. The sky loomed low and gray, swirling like a tempest. Confusion washed over him. This wasn't right. Where were the shadows, the masked figures? And then he saw them, shadowy shapes lurking at the edges of the field. Anxiety swelled as he stumbled back. "What is this?" His voice cracked, fear pooling in his gut. At that moment, something remarkable happened. The faces of the figures came into focus. Ethan's breath caught as he recognized them. Friends, family, all people who had been lost over time. Each face was etched with melancholy, sorrow, and something he couldn't pinpoint. "Ethan," one voice called out. His mother. Her tone cut deep. "You think you can escape your past?" The flickers of recognition ignited painful memories. Disappointment, regret, the unfairness of it all clawed at him. "This is a trick," he whispered, feeling himself unravel. "You can't be real." "Oh, but I am," his mother replied, stepping closer. "And neither is this place. This is your mind, Ethan. A battlefield between who you are and who you become." Bile rose in his throat. He turned to Marcus, who was shaking his head, trying to distance himself from the horror. "This isn't what I wanted," Marcus shouted. But before Ethan could demand answers, the sky crackled and split. A ferocious storm brewed, lightning racing across the horizon. As the wind howled, the ground trembled beneath his feet. Panic surged, but he shoved it down. His heart pounded, drowning in confusion. "What do you want from me?" he yelled into the storm, desperation lacing his voice. Everything then shifted. The faces around him wavered, twisted. Shadows writhed and expanded, and in that instant, everything changed. The figures morphed into grotesque silhouettes, revealing gleaming, wicked smiles. "You thought you had it all figured out? One of the figures taunted, stepping forward. Family, choices, legacy, none of it matters anymore. Ethan's heart plummeted as realization struck. It all came crashing down. Memories, truth, relationships unraveled like threadbare fabric. No, this can't be. With a single movement, the silhouette raised a hand. Let's reveal the twist, shall we? Everything exploded. Light consumed him, blinding and hot. When the light receded, Ethan found himself back in the alley, back where it all started. But the scene was forever altered. Callie was standing there, her expression unreadable. A smirk playing on her lips as shadows swirled around her. "Surprise," she said, her greeting dripping with something dark. "I'm the key to your past, your future, and everything in between. You never knew, did you?" That simple sentence, soft yet cutting like glass, shattered Ethan's world. Everything he thought he understood shifted beneath him. What are you talking about?" Callie stepped closer, the shadows bending to her will. "This isn't just your battle, Ethan. It's mine, too. And now the game begins." Heart racing, Ethan looked around, searching for meaning in the chaos as it twisted in on itself. Doubt clawed deeper. If Callie was involved, who could he trust? The answers hung thick in the air, drowning him. Everything was different now. The future loomed, heavy and foreboding, and Ethan knew there was no turning back. The truth could shatter them all. Ethan's heart raced as Callie stepped closer, shadows swirling around her in a dark dance. "You think you've got it all figured out, but this isn't just your fight," she declared, her voice steady despite the chaos. The necklace glimmered softly, pulsing with an energy that tinged the air electric. Marcus, still reeling from the revelation, glanced between Ethan and Callie, desperation written all over his face. "Ethan, we need to escape. They won't stop until they find us." The masked figures were closing in. Each step they took sent tremors of dread racing through Ethan's core. He felt trapped between family loyalty and the weight of truth. "I don't know who to trust," he shouted, catching Callie's fierce gaze. "Trust yourself," she urged. "Remember, your legacy is more than just the past. It's your choice." In that moment, a flicker sparked within him. The memories of family tightening around him suddenly felt like armor rather than chains. It was intense, overwhelming, but it brought a sense of clarity he hadn't felt before. Ethan stepped forward, feeling the weight of the moment. The figures loomed closer, but he shouted back, "I'm done running! I'm ready to face my past." The shadows flinched, as if his resolve struck them like a wave. Callie nodded, pride flashing in her eyes. "That's it! Embrace it!" The masked figures hesitated, exchanging glances. Distracted, they weren't the cold threats they'd seemed moments before. Ethan felt it. An opening. "Now, Callie!" he shouted, feeling the power of the necklace coursing through him. Together, they raised the necklace, light shining out to engulf the darkness. The figures recoiled as the energy expanded, pushing back the shadows that threatened to trap them. Each pulse felt like a heartbeat, thumping louder, growing stronger with every moment. Ethan closed his eyes, focusing on everything he wanted to protect. Family, future, the truth. As he pulled from the depths of his heart, the world shifted and the shadows dissolved into a mist. He could feel the burden of years lift away, replaced by a fierce determination. Suddenly, everything brightened, then faded. The oppressive atmosphere transformed into warmth as they stumbled out of the shadows and into the blinding sunlight. They stepped onto a vibrant street filled with color and life. The held tension released as laughter and light bantered in the air. Citizens buzzed around, utterly unaware of the chaos they had just escaped. "It worked!" Marcus breathed, his voice trembling with disbelief. Callie smiled, relief washing over her. "Trust in your power, Ethan. You belong in the light." Ethan looked around, heart fluttering. Maybe he could rewrite the narrative their family had been tied to for generations. "I want to make things right. Free us from the shadows," he declared, resolve simmering inside him. "We will," Callie replied with confidence. "Together." As they walked, Ethan felt the reverberation of hope, of change. They'd claim their destinies but might face more shadows lurking around corners. He understood now. This was just the beginning, and the legacy was theirs to shape. "Are you ready for the long road ahead?" Marcus asked, uncertainty mixed with anticipation. "More than ever," Ethan replied, looking at his brother, and then to Callie. Love, loyalty, and strength surged among them, intertwined like vines, spreading endlessly. But as they stepped boldly into their new future, the air grew strangely heavy, shadows creeping across the pavement. An ominous echo lingered, and Ethan's heart quickened once more. What other weights had they yet to uncover? Ethan braced, knowing life would test them in ways they couldn't foresee. This was their path, and it had only begun. You have to subscribe now. Hit that red button immediately so you don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories that'll leave you breathless. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and show your love for this adventure. Let's hear your thoughts. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about the ending. What do you think will happen next? Don't wait even a second longer to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this epic conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.